All right. Moving on to section 6.3, proving it's a parallelogram. If I ask you to prove this was a rectangle, how would one of you want to prove that that's a rectangle? What would you do to go about proving it's a rectangle?
Measure the sides.
Well, you can measure the sides. So let's say this is 4, this is 4, and this is 8, and this is 8. Is that enough to prove it's a rectangle? No, because it could be a parallelogram. What would you do to prove it's a rectangle? What would you measure? Yes, ma'am? Measure the angles. What do all the angles have to be? 90. If all the angles are 90, you know it's a rectangle, don't you? All right. So, what we're going to be doing today is proving something is a parallelogram. Now, all the stuff we learned yesterday, that the opposite sides are congruent, that's enough to prove it's a parallelogram. Everything for, like, are the opposite angles congruent? That's enough to prove it's a parallelogram. Are the consecutive angles supplementary? They add to 180. That's enough to prove it's a parallelogram. We also have this one right here. If the opposite sides are congruent and parallel, then it's a parallelogram. So right here, these two sides, they're both 7, right? So they're congruent. It also says they're both parallel. So that means this is a parallelogram. This is a parallelogram. But it has to be the same pair. This, if I said this is congruent and these are both 8, does that have to be a parallelogram? It's not the same ones, no. Because that could actually be a trapezoid. It looks like this, but it could be the top and the bottom are parallel. These are both 8. That's a trapezoid, isn't it? It's an isosceles trapezoid. So, it's got to be the same pair of sides. What I want you to do now, take minute and a half. Which of these is the parallelogram? Is it A or is it B? Only one of them is. Tell me which one's the parallelogram and be ready to explain why. Go through all 5 of these with your team. I'll give you 1 minute and a half. Go.
Oh wait, so that's yeah, the A. The sides. Number 5. No, yeah. So we're not to say 1A. It's A, B.
Got about 30 seconds left.
A, B, B. I just gotta guess. Yeah.
All right, I think about everybody's ready here. Let's go ahead and get started here. Number 1 altogether is A or B. 1, 2, 3.
A.
You are absolutely correct. Both pairs of sides have to be congruent. Otherwise, it could have been like this. Those are congruent, but not the other ones. That wouldn't work, would it? Number 2, A or B. 1, 2, 3.
B.
Yes, because both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. This one could be a kite. Where one pair of angles is congruent, but the top and bottom aren't. Right. Number 3, A or B. 1, 2, 3.
B.
B, yes, we have to have two pairs of consecutive angles supplementary. This one could look like this. This is 100, this is 80, but over here it could be 90 and 90. And do those add up to 180? Nope. So that would be a trapezoid. Number 4, all together. 1, 2, 3. It's B. Some of you fell for it. We just talked about it right here. It's got to be the same pair of sides. The same pair. These are both 6, so they're congruent and they're parallel. This is the one that could be a trapezoid. Number 5, all together. 1, 2, 3. A, correct. This one could also be a kite. Where this is congruent to this, but it is definitely not a parallelogram. That's all we have on the board here. We're also going to look at the ways to do it on a if it's on a graph. We'll give you a notes worksheet and we'll get started on that.